Peace, Prince Ash here. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like and a comment. Let me know what you think. But most importantly, subscribe. Today's video is about homelessness and my experience being homeless. Bit about my journey, bit about my mistakes, and yeah, that's about it. So we'll start off. Let me just think of some dates first. I slept rough at age 19, 20, 18 even. I slept rough, but I wouldn't have considered myself homeless because I was always able to bounce back and get somewhere to live, and whether it was my mother taking me back or my mother's friends letting me live with them, and I moved around a hell of a lot anyway. I was just bouncing from place to place. So I guess you could say I was homeless, but like I always had somewhere to go. And it got to the point where in late 2021, December 2021, right before 22, just after COVID, I became homeless and all my bridges were burned. I had nowhere to go, no one to live with. And I was living in Galway at the time. I was in my mother's gaff in Salt Hill, Galway. I was after causing a load of shit. I was drinking at home. My mother said, "I'm not enabling you anymore. You've nowhere to go." And to be honest, like, she did the right thing. Because I wouldn't have stopped drinking or drugging, you know, until I died, to be honest with you, or until something awful happened, or I ended up in prison or whatever. Granted, there was a lot going on for me around that time. I was, having intrusive thoughts and the beginnings of my psychosis, if not full-blown psychosis, like, but she kicked me out anyway, and I'd nowhere to go, so I didn't even do this. My neighbour rang Galway City Council to register me as homeless. Because, yeah, I wouldn't do it. I guess I was, I don't know. I just wouldn't do it. Like, I was too cowardly or something. I don't know. For whatever reason, I didn't do it. My neighbour rang them. I got registered as homeless. The same day, we got a call back and I got into the Fairgreen hostel, which is on the Fairgreen Road by the Galway train station. And I suppose I'll talk a little bit about the Fairgreen and what it's like. So the first thing I had to do was, I had bags packed. I rocked up to the Fairgreen and met the staff. The staff were like, "Alright, you're here now. I feel bad for you because it's coming up to Christmas, but you're here and we'll look after you." And bloody, I had to do this induction, fill out a load of sheets with them about my medical history, about my mental health history, drug addiction, all that shit. I told them straight up I'm a drink and drug addict. And they said their main aim is not, complete abstinence is great, but when we can't get complete abstinence, we aim for harm reduction when you're using. There's no drinking inside the hostel, no drugs inside the hostel. There are, but it's not allowed, they said. And, if you get caught doing any of those things, you get like a warning. And if you get 3 warnings, you get kicked out for 1 night. And to me, that was like, alright, I'm gonna fucking do it anyway. I didn't give a bollocks. Kicked out for 1 night, I can survive a night for whatever. And yeah, they put me in a room upstairs and I started unpacking my stuff, and I sat down on this rubber mattress and I was like, fuck, this is it, I'm here now. I'm I've seriously burned all my bridges. I've nowhere to go. I'm in a house full of losers, really. A house full of people I don't want to be living with, in conditions I don't want to be living in. And I felt very alone, and I felt very isolated, and like nobody cared about me. So I was sitting there, I was like, fuck. Yeah, I fucked up this time, man. Yeah. And it was the truth, I did fuck up. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. And I was like, I'm definitely fucking going drinking now. Cause I'm in here. I'm the victim. I thought I was the victim. Obviously my family were the victims of my behaviour and my addiction, unfortunately, which is why a lot of people don't have any sympathy for drug addicts and alcoholics, because everyone around them is a victim of their behaviour. And yeah, anyway, that's a digression. So I said, fuck it, I'll get to know a few people in here and see what the crack is. I want to suss the place out, see what it's like. So there was this kind of communal area which had a telly, and some guy was there playing PS2, some golf PGA game on the PS2, and I was like, that is fucking tragic, man. Yeah, I got to know a few of the lads, and I was just like, this place is fucking depressing, man. This place is just so tragic. I was chatting to one lad, he was there 2 years, he came straight from prison, went there, and they were asking about me. I was just like, my mother kicked me out, I've nowhere to go, I'm addicted to alcohol. And I said I'd go to rehab again and give it a good shot. So I was telling them, yeah, I'm going to go to rehab, and one of the lads was like, oh yeah, make sure you bring a phone, put it in your waistband, you'll get away with it there. I was there before, and I was thinking like, right, yeah, I might do that, or I might not, I don't really care. And pretty much straight away people were hitting me up. They were like, oh, do you smoke? Do you have any tobacco for me? Oh, I'm rolling a joint, we can go smoke the joint if you have tobacco. And I'd be like, yeah, here, roll it up, and go smoke it with them and stuff. And I preferred to alcohol was my main thing, and I preferred to drink on my own. So I'd leave, get a bottle of vodka. I wanted to drink it in my room, but I kept getting caught by them. And if they catch you with alcohol, they'll keep it. They won't give it back to you. So I started drinking outside. There was a little bench on Lochatalia looking out at the lake, and I just mixed with like Club Orange or Lucasade or something, vodka like, and just be drinking that away like a fucking wino, which I am in recovery, thank God. And it was tragic, and like, my mother wasn't speaking to me, she had me blocked. My brother and sister weren't speaking to me, they probably had me blocked too. It was just a low point, man. Yeah, just sitting there drinking, and eventually it would numb anything I was feeling, and I'd feel like, thank God I don't have to worry about all the shit I was just worrying about, you know. And that's part of my addiction, is not being able to reconcile things with myself, not being able to sit with myself, you know, and sit with these feelings and thoughts, and to think through them, and to be able to deal with them. So that's all escapism on my part. And yeah, I ended up getting caught with a load of drink inside, and I got kicked out for one night. But fortunately, it was the first time I met Runoff Broke, the rapper, and his manager Brian Aller, and my producer Fionn armed the track. They said, come and let's have a recording session now. They had a gaff out somewhere in Galway anyway, and I went out the day I got kicked out, like, so I had somewhere to stay that night. And that was cool, to make new friends through the music, and you know, they were saying they liked my music and stuff, and that was pretty cool. And we did record a couple of tracks which I hate, except for one, which is I was off my head and I did a freestyle to. It wasn't a freestyle. I rapped to. I Spoke to the Devil in Miami by XXXTentacion, and that's available on SoundCloud only because it's not mixed and mastered. I thought it sounded raw and authentic. I speak weird in it because I'm drunk off my head and high from all the drugs, and but I like it. There's something cool about it, and there's some cool lyrics in it. So check it out if you want. I'll link it in the description. Anyway, yeah, I was drinking with all the lowest of the low, you know what I mean? Hanging around with the lowest of the low. And it got to a point where I was drunk one day in the hostel, and this fella came to my door, and I just got my dole, and he was like, "Here, if you give me €50, I'll throw it back to you on Thursday. If there's any chance you can do that." And he was a sound dude. He was my next door neighbour in the hostel, and I was getting on with him. I said, "Yeah, sound man, throw it back to me Thursday." Thursday comes round, he gives me 25 quid, and he's like, "I'll give the rest to you another time, right?" I was like, sound. Not much I could do about it, to be honest. I wasn't gonna start a fight with him or anything, because I'm not really a violent person at all or anything, or I'm not like a threatening person either. I was like, fuck's sake, man, but what else could I do about it without starting a fight or throwing a box or whatever? And the dude was a lot bigger than me. And later on he says, "Here, come into my room there, I want to give you something." And I was like, "Alright." And he's like, "Here, do you want to smoke some of this?" I was drunk. He was like, "Do you want to smoke some of this? And that'll knock off that 25 I owe you." I was like, sound, I'll take it. And that was the first time I smoked heroin. So I was smoking it off the tin foil, taking lines of it. And I liked the way it made me feel. It just made everything a bit floaty and a bit wavy and took the pain away. And I was like, sound, and I went back to my room and just lay down on my bed listening to music. And for the next 7 days after that, I smoked heroin every single day, sometimes a handful of times a day. Look, this isn't it's a nightmare of a story, but it's not like the worst of the worst stories. This is like 7 days of it. I'm lucky. It could have been a year, 2 years, 3 years. I could have died. God knows what else. But yeah, that's a bit about my experience with the gear. And it's like a known fact with that Fairgreen hostel in Galway, a lot of people go in alcoholics and come out, I don't want to say the word junkies, heroin addicts, you know. And that was the case with me, because I went around the town then looking for it, knocking on my neighbour's door looking for it, and I'd get it, and I just somehow happened to bump into a lot of people that were smoking it too, so we smoked a good bit of it. Recognisable faces around Galway, people would know them to see, they know who they are, yeah, it's wasn't good. It wasn't good. And I ended up going to rehab then, in the middle of a psychotic episode that lasted 5 months. So I didn't get the full benefit of the program in rehab because I was in such a psychotic state. I ended up having to leave the rehab, and they brought me, the counsellors were like, "Right, John, we're bringing you to A&E," because they realised my head was fucked. I was hearing shit, seeing shit, thinking people were abusing me, thinking people were sending me messages and all sorts of shit like that. So yeah, the road to recovery started then, you know. And it is actually kind of painful to talk about this, and fucking hell, man, it's just, yeah, sad. It's just really sad that that's what my life became, and this is what happened in my life. Like, um, yeah, it's a bit humiliating. Like, because I had a big fall from grace. I felt I had loads of friends growing up. I was a reasonably liked person around Galway, and uh, people cared about me. And then it got to this point where nobody cared about me. I had no friends, nowhere to go. I had friends, but they were also homeless and in the hostel, and they didn't really care about me. We were just using buddies, using drugs together. And like, I remember bumping into some lad in town, and he's like, "Is that John Reichenbach?" I was like, "Yeah, it is, man." He was like, "Oh, I like your brother, but I don't like you." And I was like, "Cool, man." I actually know the fella's father, so I wouldn't fucking break his nose on the spot, like, but as much as I'd love to. But no, I know his father, so I wouldn't do that. Um, but I guess that's kind of the general consensus about me in Galway, in that social circle, is they like my brother but they don't like me. You know what I mean? Because people think I'm a scumbag or whatever because of all the shit that went on with me and all the shit I did and didn't do and all that shit. But look, that's neither here nor there, because the most important, what is most important is how I feel about myself. I said that already, like. So that was my first little run at homelessness. It didn't end well. It ended in psychosis. It ended in me hiding away in my room in the darkness, afraid to open the door because I owed money to this, that, and the other person, and I was in in trouble with the guards. The workers in the hostel hated me. I was causing heaps of shit, breaking all the rules, getting kicked out, all that shit. So it was fairly carnage what was going on, like. But I did apply myself when I went to rehab that time. As, like, I wasn't well, but I did get benefits from it, And all I can say, it was just the most lonely, depressing place ever. And suicide was on my mind all the time, but I was like, I'm just gonna ride this out. It's better than being dead, I guess. I was in pain, but not that much pain, like, not enough to kill myself, I guess, but I was in pain. I was paranoid, hearing shit. Yeah, I was palling around with a couple other addicts in the town as well. I'd made a few friends and was drinking with them and stuff, and yeah, there was a little bit of devilment and fun involved, but I woke up every morning hating myself and hating the way I behaved the night before, and yeah, there was a problem. I knew deep down there was a serious problem with what was going on. I'm gonna leave it at that and make a part 2 on my second journey of homelessness. Peace. Subscribe.